The Saturday after the wedding is a typical quiet weekend afternoon in our house. No bling today. Dad has finished all his chores and fallen asleep. Now Mum is heading off for a usual nap, and I can see Sophia thinks she's forgotten about homework. But no, she turns to remind Sophia to do it now. I suppress a giggle. "Oh Mum," she groans, homework is such a bore. A whole week of school, finally it's the weekend and I still have to do work. It's not fair." But Mum has already gone. "Please do it for me," she begs me. "Why can't you do it yourself?" I say, looking at her homework diary. "I just can't. I don't know what to write. You're so clever at that sort of thing." Stupid Miss wanted us to write about ourselves this year. She said it's good practice before becoming Year 6 students. And when I said, "Do we have to, Miss?" she said I should be able to write tons as I don't ever stop talking about myself. What a cheek. I laugh. "All right, I'll help you." Sophia's face breaks into a massive smile. She's too daft to realise I've given in too easily. "Yes, I will start with what a noisy little brat you are. Oh, and how you're too lazy to do your own homework. And I'll write how you wouldn't dare," she squeals. "Just you try me, sis. Now go on, have a go at it, and I'll help you if you get stuck. You've done tons already at school. You're supposed to be my best friend," she whines as I go back to reading my magazine. Sophia's been working on her autobiography project all this year and brings it home most weekends to work on. As she throws down her pen and goes to the kitchen, probably in search of a snack, I sneak over to read what she's done.
So here goes, all about me. I'm 10. I'm not a heart-stopping beauty, but I will be. I have lovely, shiny, golden brown skin. My hair is long, so if I'm not careful, it could end up wet when I go to the loo. It's almost to my waist. I'm going to be a better-looking version of Princess Catherine, or even Aishwarya Rai. She's my favourite Asian superstar, and I expect I'll have Hollywood superstars fighting over me. I'll be on TV flicking my hair and saying, "Because I'm worth it." I'll be caught on camera by the paparazzi desperate to get me on the front cover of every magazine. I don't tell lies, I tell stories, and sometimes, well mostly, I add on a bit to make them more interesting. There's a thin line between truth and lies, but embellishing a story isn't lying. I looked up embellishing, miss. I was born in a London hospital. The only good thing about being born in Bethnal Green is that I'm a real-life Cockney, because I was born within the sound of Bow Bells. I'm dead proud of that. I make my Cockney accent heavier than it really is, as it's so cool. My big sister Vinnie doesn't have a Cockney accent. She talks dead, proper English like our parents. While Mum carried me on my tummy, my sister Vinnie was asked by Mum and Dad's friends if she wanted a baby brother or sister. My dad and Mum wanted a baby brother to make the family complete, and for Dad to have someone to carry on the family name. Oh, and someone to take care of Mum and Dad in their old age. As Indians, it's our duty to take care of our parents as they took care of us and made all those sacrifices for us, though I think it isn't fair, as we didn't ask to be born. So Vinnie would say she wanted a baby sister so she could dress me up like a baby doll. Vinnie didn't know any boys, and I think she was a bit scared of them. She prayed every night for a baby sister to play with. Mum and Dad were upset and wanted her to change her prayers to asking for a brother. Mum was so sad that she gave birth to a daughter. Dad told her not to be so silly. It didn't make any difference. Mum said that if we lived in India, she would have another try, because that was easy, as they had tons of servants in India. And I must have guessed all of this, because from before I can remember, I tried to be like a real son, tough and loud. I'm pretty pleased, because my mum, who's called Jasmine, is still really young and pretty. She cooks great food, and after she finishes work on Saturdays at around 1 o'clock, she stops off to buy bread from the bakery, and it's usually still hot. We rush around her and dive in, trying to pick bits off, but she waves her arms around and cuts the bread into really thick slices and puts loads of butter on that melts instantly. It's our weekly treat, and we scoff the lot. She might bring home cakes too, or bread pudding or apple pies. They're not good to next door aunties, but they're still welcome. We wish we could have hot bread every day, but next door auntie said it's bad for us to eat really hot bread, as it will give us tummy ache. It's not fair to tell such fibs. We never get tummy ache, no matter how much hot bread we eat. Adults are always saying these things, always warning us about things that never happen. They don't know as much as they say they do. I'm not supposed to, but when I get home from school, I go to see next door auntie, and she makes me tea. She's the best cook in the world, apart from Dad and Mum. She makes tons of great stuff to eat. Egg and chips, stews, cakes, and roast dinners. Vinnie and I love her cooking. It isn't spicy, quite plain really, but better than school dinners. Next door auntie lives alone. Mum and Dad have kind of adopted her as our gran. I've never met my real gran, but next door auntie will do just fine for now. Her name is Grace Swan. Her poor husband died soon after they were married. We don't really talk about him. I always tap on her kitchen window and peer through to see if she's got any chips on the go. I shout, oh, auntie, shall I come in?" She loves my company and all my stories. Dad says she's really lonely, so she's lucky we moved in next door to her. Mum grumbles that she spends more time in our flat than our own. I wish I could call her Granny, but from when I was little, I've always said next door Auntie, so it seems odd to change now. She pops over every night around 7 o'clock, so Mum has a chance to get in and put the dinner on. The lantern is full of smell of our tea, and all the neighbours know what we're eating. Some of them I don't like it much, but I don't care, except when Mum's cooking sarge, spinach and mustard leaves that are boiled for hours in the noisy pressure cooker. Then it just pongs, and the taste is worse than boiled bogies. My big sister Vinnie pretends to love the torturous sarge. She says, "Yum, how lovely, Mummy." My mum's mum died when she was small, so Mum didn't really learn how to do things. She's never read us stories, and never makes fairy cakes, though she does make great fake eggy bread with besan, which is chickpea flour instead of eggs. She makes great onion omelettes too. They're a bit smelly on your breath, but hot onion omelette on white bread with Heinz tomato ketchup, and I'm in heaven. On Sunday, she fries bread and dips it in sugary milky stuff. That's so yummy, even though it looks soggy. We sit like baby birds, squawking for more. Vinnie is 5 years older than me, and she's a right goody two-shoes. She can cook whole meals from scratch, and she can even make round rotis. She's Mum's favourite because she's good and sweet, and never shouts and screams and yells like I do. Vinnie is very pretty. She's like an older version of me, but a bit more filled out in the right places. She's very clever and loves reading. She's a swat bag. I hate reading. Vinnie has to read to me. She reads the classics like Lady Chatterley's Lover. I make her read the rude bits over and over again. Everyone is proud of perfect Vinnie. She doesn't mind playing games with me, and normally lets me win too. And she's dead good at card tricks. And she knows some really good jokes. Some are a little rude, and I love those best. I have to share a bedroom with Vinnie. We have 2 bunk-sized beds. Sometimes I move the bedside table that sits between the beds and push the beds together to make one giant bed. Vinnie always moans when I do this, but I know she doesn't mind really. We talk late into the night with Vinnie, reading me stories, though Mum sometimes gets cross when she hears me roaring with laughter or practicing my opera singing. I could easily be an opera superstar. I have a great voice, so I don't understand why everyone tells me to pipe down. We live on the 3rd floor of the white flats opposite the rail arches in Bethnal Green, which is in East London. We don't have designer clothes, just high street stuff, and too many of our outfits are identical. I hate that. I want to look like me, not a mini-me, version of Vinnie. I moan and plead with Mum to let me have my own style like Sasha does, but clothes are a problem anyway, as I'm too thin for anything to fit. Mum and Dad aren't like other mum and dads. They work all the time, and Mum even works on Saturday mornings. I suspect it's because it gets her off doing the housework. Dad does all that. He drags us to the supermarket to do the weekly shop, and then lets us choose a treat at least. Then we walk down the market stalls to get food from the fruit and veg guy, and toilet rolls from another. When we get home, Vinnie puts the shopping away, and I get to hoover. I love hoovering, because I get to practice my opera singing. I think I could shatter a glass if I sing even louder. I want to go on the X Factor. Vinnie calls it the Z Factor, so I sing louder to annoy her. Mum gets home from working all morning, and she's also an Avon lady, except she never goes out and ding-dongs. She only shows the Avon book to her friends at work. When the big Avon box comes, Vinnie and I love to check it out. I love to sneak a squirt of this or a dab of that. Once Mum even won a beauty contest as the most beautiful Avon lady. She had a sari on. She had a sari on, and she had a sash with diamonds on it. And I was really proud of my beautiful, glamorous Mum. She looked like a model. Well, a 5'3" model. On school days, Dad always rushes home from his translating work at the council as fast as he can to be with her. He normally gets home by 5:30. From the time Vinnie and I get home from school, we've usually turned the house into a tip. When it's nearly 5:30, I stand on the worktop in the kitchen, look out the kitchen window, pulling at the net curtains to see out, and I can see Dad as he comes into view under the arches. Vinnie and I run around frantically and tidy up and get out our school uniform, as Mum says we have to change as soon as we get home from school. On Friday nights to celebrate the weekend, Dad buys us Kit Kats as a treat. He loves Kit Kats, but Turkish Delights are his favourite. He rarely buys them though, because they are much dearer. Dad is super cool. He has a huge fan club outside the family as well. He's great at sorting out people's problems. Not like some soppy agony aunt. He's more like a superhero. He never wears his underpants on the outside of his trousers, of course. That would just be silly. But he's a superhero nonetheless. My dad isn't like other dads, and he's great. He tells great stories about his life. I think I've got his genes for exaggerating stories, but maybe he's telling the whole truth. Who knows?
Sophia comes back with a plate of biscuits and I leap back onto the sofa. I don't think she noticed me reading her work. The house is quiet as our parents are still napping. We're not allowed to have the TV on, so I challenge her to a card game of Snap. Although Sophia has exaggerated the truth about Dad and her project, there are times when Dad has helped resolve all sorts of problems, and people are always asking him for advice. One thing's for sure about Dad, he knows how to fix things.